What's up, everybody? That was Words. This is Terri Doty. This is That Anime Show, filling in for Mr. J. Michael Tatum, or the part of J. Michael Tatum today will be played by a tall, dark, and sinister, ugly man. No.
Also known as Josh Greeley.
You're not ugly. You're adorable. And with us today, as promised, is special guest, recording extraordinaire engineer man, Stephen Hoff.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so we're getting off a bit late today, but that seems to be a running theme, so that's fine. I guess we're actually on time, if that's any consolation.
Yeah.
So, no, Tatum's not here today. He's in Ohio being cold and...
Even colder than we are.
Colder and colder and colder. Of course, we're recording from Arlington, Texas. And Josh, how are you today?
I'm fine. How are you, Terry?
Pretty good.
This is a responsibility. I have to be a wordsmith today.
Not like normally. No.
I can't be as energetic as Tatum.
No. Well, yes, we'll use that word. Energetic. Wow. It is one of those days already.
Yes,
so,
it is.
Stephen, tell us a little bit about yourself, for those that don't know.
Well, I like long walks on the beach.
I did that the first broadcast. It's not funny when you do it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, let's see. I've been engineering for about 10 years. Most of that was doing live sound at various clubs here in the Metroplex.
Yeah.
For local and national acts coming in.
Nice.
And the last couple of years, I've been a ADR engineer.
An ADR engineer. I don't know. Like I always say, ADR director. You're a recording engineer. You do a lot instead of just automatic dialogue replacement.
That's true. Recording bands, voiceovers, stuff like that. I guess a recording engineer.
Well, and also, I'll let the cat out of the bag. For those of you that don't know, and I'm pretty sure you guys all know, Steven is my partner in crime. As well as Tatum. Tatum's more my work husband, and I don't think it's going very well. No, it's going fantastic, but we also do our own little shebang, which we have the promo for on here usually. It's Evil Tofu Productions, and we
yes.
Namely, what we've been doing a lot of are haunted houses, especially in close to the outskirts of Arlington, close to Mansfield. We did all the sound setup for everything in Zombie Manor.
Yes.
Zombie
all the
man.
little different rooms, from the swamp shack to the outside with the wind and the rain and all that stuff.
But zombies are our speciality.
Yes.
And you can also hear some of your favorite voice actors be like Zombie 1 and Zombie 2. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And J. Michael Tatum is actually the caretaker that you get at the very beginning. He's a talking skeleton.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Well, let's see here. I posted a discussion on Facebook. Please feel free to add on to it. And also, if you're not a fan of ours on Facebook, we do have a page now, That Anime Show. Just search it, and you'll see a ridiculous picture of me and Tatum pointing at something. We need to get Josh up there. I mean, this is the second show that he's been on. I feel like it's going to be a running theme.
Oh, right.
Like it's like this big travesty.
Do we get to pose in front of the same red wall?
Yeah, maybe.
Awesome.
If you want.
Yeah.
So, okay, the only post that I've gotten so far is from my new dear friend in Facebookness, Mr. William G. Fender.
Okay.
And he wanted to know a bit about the audition process and what it entails and what it's really about. So, Stephen, from a recording standpoint, what does the audition process mean to you?
Means a lot of waiting, basically. Normally, when we do the recording process, it's pretty fast as far as the show goes. Placement and everything to make sure the file lines up with what we're seeing on screen, all the mouth flaps. The audition process, actor will go in the booth, read whatever characters he's looking for, and it's just all one take. And
Just generally.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot more that goes into it. For the most part, as far as my experience, granted I don't have a lot, because I got to intern during the audition process, a big wind-up, which I think helped out a lot whenever I got to auditioning a show all on my own. Mm-hmm. Well, it was me and Bruce Elliott, but I did the sides and stuff just because I'm like, no, I got it because I want to be like really OCD and figure all this stuff out. And he was just like, fine with me. Let me see. Well, we take a lot of lines from the scripts and just make them particular pages for that character. You know, have a bit of a picture so they can see kind of what they're going for as far as the read. Because sometimes, not all the time, sometimes the picture kind of tells you a lot about what the voice is supposed to be like.
Yeah, very much so.
And as far as the dialogue that we pick for those characters, generally we pick, you know, anywhere from 5 to 10 lines that best describe the character in that dialogue, and from that, a lot of the time we don't really know until we see what they can bring to life to that. It may not be relevant to the actual scene, but seeing what they bring to it just by reading those words pretty much helps us pick out who's going to be who and all that. And even then, it can still be like, oh no, we already have a phone call. Wow, okay, let's see.
Hello.
Hi there, you're on the air.
Hello.
Oh.
If you just called, please call back. 214-431-5062. You're listening to That Anime Show. We seem to get a lot of that where they call, and it seems by the time we get to them, they like,
get cold feet.
No, not that. I just think like maybe they're on the phone a lot longer than we actually think they are. Like it pops up for us pretty quick.
Yeah.
But
maybe it's something with the program itself.
Maybe
because our friend Sarah said she was having problems with it.
Oh yeah, because we use Skype right now, and generally that's what our friend Sarah Pintilia used while she was fantastic writer, by the way. She plugging my friends, because that's all I do is say really offbeat remarks that can be taken the wrong way. Plug my friends.
Woo.
But I miss Tatum.
Oh.
Oh no, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, Sarah was saying while she was living in London, there's a huge delay, so please be patient whenever you give us a call, and we'll try to get to you. I say that now, but because as of today, this is going to be our last show recording at Fishbowl Radio Network.
Yes, it is.
Yes. They've been pretty darn cool to us, but we just need to give actors a little more time and all that. So we're going to kind of go the podcast route for the time being, and we'll keep you guys posted, obviously, on the page, because I'm on it entirely too much. And also, we have a website now.
All right.
thatanimeshow.isgreat.org. Tell your friends.
Yes, because it is great.
Steven created the website, so you can yell at him.
Yes, if it's not working, please yell at me about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just a pretty general overview, getting back to it, of what the audition process holds. It can run anywhere from 3 to 5 days, sometimes longer, sometimes even shorter, depending on if these characters maybe showed up in a video game previously or something else that we just didn't factor in. Sometimes that kind of predestines who we're going to cast.
Yeah.
Let me see, what else? Am I forgetting anything?
No.
No.
Hey, you guys get the more exciting end of the audition process. I can just sit on a couch for half an hour and then go into the booth for 15 minutes. And
I try to show up pretty early because, I mean, you know, what really sucks, and anyone who's done theater knows this, cold reads are the hardest thing to do as far as I'm concerned, as far as acting. And a big part of this is cold reading, so I try to take the theater standpoint on that, you know. Show up early. If you're 15 minutes early, you're on time. If you're any later than that, you're late. And good luck with that cold read. But some people are a lot better at that than I am. Now, okay, we had Joel McDonald on last week, and that was fantastic. And he just kept singing your praises.
Yay, Joel.
Yeah.
Joel's fun.
See, that's kind of your work husband.
Yes,
Yeah.
Joel is definitely my work husband.
You guys are a blast to work with.
I love working with Joel because he gets it, and we don't really have to communicate after we record the file. Usually the director will have to say, okay, move it this way left, move it this way right, or whatever, and I'm already doing it, and he's just like, yeah, just do what you're doing, and I'll look online for a little bit.
Aw, no, I can't do that. Like, even if I trust my engineer wholeheartedly, I still have to pretty much keep the reins myself. But
I mean, Joel does keep the take charge.
well, obviously, he doesn't give you free reign.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I'll place it, and we'll watch it to make sure it fits the flaps, and if it's too long or short, maybe we need to take it again, or maybe we can even time compress it or stretch it, and to fill the gap. So yeah.
Cool. You are just basket of rainbow kittens.
I'm
sir.
an engineer.
I remember there was when Funimation was still doing podcasts. There was one that was specifically geared toward engineers.
Yes.
And I was reading a forum, section for it, and of course, they were just kind of like, I didn't know that, blah blah blah. But a lot of them were, wow, does every engineer look the same, and are they all stoner?
Well, it's funny because we tend to look alike, even
black shirt,
yeah.
cargo pants, or cargo shorts, depending on season. Chucks all black or a little bit of white.
Yeah, I guess it has something to do with the age
optional.
range because running live sound, engineers within my same age group that we grew up with, around the same time of the same influences. So, listening to the same music, watching the same TV shows, we tend to dress alike. The older engineers are more business people, button-up shirts and everything. Even though they're on tour with like Slayer or Deicide, they come in, all prim and proper, where younger people just don't really care what they look like.
Okay, so we're just talking about engineers. Okay, what's been your live venue? Okay, favorite band to engineer for?
That's a hard one.
That's what she said.
That is true.
I know one of my favorite bands that I know that you engineered for, Real Big Fish.
Real Big Fish. They were
You said
fun.
they were really cool.
They were really cool. Lots of horns on stage. Lots of microphones, which, is not a big deal, but still, it's a lot of horns to deal with.
I love it.
But as far as my favorite band that I've done sound for, I would have to say probably Ministry. That was a
Ministry?
really cool one.
Nice.
Yeah, Ministry with Revolting Cocks.
It's funny because it's a euphemism. Penis.
Yeah. but
If you feel free to chime in, 214-431-5062.
Yes.
But Ministry is very industrial, and that's kind of your bag.
yes,
Yeah.
my favorite band of all times would have to be Skinny Puppy.
Of all times.
All times.
All the times.
Yes.
I have a question for you, Steve.
yeah.
Yes.
Actually, a few back in November, both of you actually were there for a convention here in town.
Yes.
It was where we premiered Line Barrels of Iron.
YuleCon.
Yes, YuleCon.
Yes.
And you happened to be there, and somebody, and I unfortunately only got to tell you about it after the fact because you had to leave. There was a young gentleman there at the con who, in talking about some of the processes of recording, had a question for you, and
Was it in the main room?
yeah, it was in the
Okay.
main event room.
I remember that kid. He was cool.
He was really cool. And his question, and I believe that there are probably some other people out there listening right now who would probably like to know the same thing, and his was... Maybe. How exactly did you get into it? Let's go back a little bit further into your past. What drove you to become an audio engineer, and what did you have to go through in order to get where you are?
Well, let's see. The thing that I really would think that the influence is, when I was a teenager growing up, I would listen to all kinds of music, and I would think that it could have been mixed better. And I was always...
Even though you really didn't have an idea of really what mixing entailed?
Yeah, I had no clue what mixing really was because I've heard, mixing tracks or, doing all these different terminologies, and, one word like mixing could mean several different things.
Yeah.
Or, a track could mean several different things because you have the CD track, but then when you're recording a session, you have, all the other tracks like, like if it's a band, like kick, snare, hi-hat, stuff like that. You've got all those separate tracks. So I had no clue what this terminology was. I just knew that it could sound better than what it really was. Mm-hmm. So I ended up, doing some research, and I ended going to the Dallas Sound Lab. I think it's called... It's something else now. I forget what they call it.
A couple of our favorite little engineers up there, they went to the same place, around the same time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of funny.
Yeah, and there they taught me how to, the correct terminology, like what all the bit rates are, the kilohertz, all that stuff, all the technical jargon for recording. At that time, they didn't have a live engineer program. So, I went through the whole program and everything and graduated and yada, yada, yada.
Yada, yada.
I got my internship at a recording studio in Fort Worth called Eagle Audio.
Are they still around?
They are still around. They've been around since about 1984.
I've heard good things.
They are the only ones really around that still do analog recording on tape machine.
Nice.
Yeah, I started up there, and 2-inch wide, 24-track tape machine, where you actually have to cut the tape, splice it together to make different cuts. It's the old way of doing it from the 60s and 70s. So that style of recording is actually dying now. It's all going computer-based, which is easier, but I still prefer analog sound. It's a little bit warmer, a little bit richer than actual digital
sound.
Kind of the same principle on why a lot of people still prefer vinyl compared to digital.
Yeah. And, comparing the two, like if you have a set of $100 speakers, you're going to hear a better difference digital versus analog. But if you actually have a really good stereo system, $5,000, $10,000, you're going to hear a better difference between analog and digital. You're going to hear more of what the musician is trying to, portray.
Elicit.
Yes, in the recording itself.
Nice.
So after interning there for about 2 years or so, I ended up stumbling into running live sound, which I had no idea how to do. I ended up started working at the Ridgely Theater, and there it's a pretty big venue.
I love that venue.
It's
even if you can do an open mic upstairs, or if you just want to have a drink and listen to local people, which is really hard in the DFW. If you don't know, being a local artist can be quite a feat.
Yes.
But the Ridgely must have been fun, though.
Yeah, the Ridgely was fun. It originally was a movie theater that they turned into a live venue. And
they even had the crying rooms.
Yeah.
Which we need now.
Yes, we definitely need the crying rooms.
You know what the crying rooms are?
No.
It's the people, whenever you get comfy in your seat and suddenly someone walks in with a baby. And you go, crap.
Right.
A crying room was something that was very popular, at the Uber Go, the Nickelodeon times.
Right.
Look it up. Nickelodeon, not the channel. But, baby starts crying, the mother can take their baby into that room. We don't hear it, and they can still watch the movie.
Excellent.
It's a big glass window that they can still see what's going on, but it doesn't disturb anyone.
Wish they would still do those now.
Yes.
Good Lord.
But yeah, I started out there as a monitor engineer. For those of you who don't know anything about live sound, the monitors.
That's a lot of.
When the musicians are on stage, the speakers that are pointing toward the audience are the main PA. So the musicians need to hear themselves, so they have monitors on the floor pointing back at them. Generally, smaller clubs will have 1 or 2 monitor mixes, for the front, and then one for the drums. The Ridgely had a total of 12 monitor mixes. So not only would I have 32 channels of different tracks to deal with, I had 12 mixes on stage to make the band happy with, plus I had to watch out for feedback. That was the main concern.
He could have been. You could it's funny. Okay, I know what you're talking about generally, but now only because I've known you for 4 years, and the first year of that was huh? It's I put the Glebelglorp in the Schabrackensee Deutsch.
It's a Knüter valve.
Knüter valve.
It's like watching Star Trek.
It is. Everybody knows Star Trek isn't real. Call in and dispute that.
No. No, that's a totally different show. Both Star and Trek.
Yes. But yeah, so feedback, is basically when the microphone picks up the audio coming through the speakers, and it goes back into the microphone, processes it, comes back, and creates a loop through the speakers and the microphone, which you have that annoying high squeal pitch that hurts your ears. So you have to watch out for that in live sound. being completely new, nobody told me really how to do things. I had to figure out everything on my own, signal path, how things come into the console, out the speakers and everything. A lot of it was reading. A lot of it was messing up and hearing the bands yell at me and basically me going, oh, I don't need to do that again.
Yeah.
So that
trial and error.
Yeah. And so as far as anybody that wants to know about engineering, it's a lot of reading, talk to engineers, go watch people, go to a concert and watch the engineer. Just sit back and don't ask any questions, just watch him, see what he's.
That's how I felt about directing.
Yeah.
Like, by the end of it, they're like, if you have any questions, I'm like, I will, maybe, if you just let me watch you. Just let me watch you. And
I don't get to watch.
You get to do.
I'm
behind a little glass window in a dark booth. I don't get to see anything.
Yes.
So, I mean, you and I met working at a very popular music retail store called Schmarshminner.
Guitars and such.
Yeah, that's what we'll call it.
Yes.
It originally started out as the Organ Center. Google it. But you were the pro audio manager there,
yes.
Which I found really funny because it required you to be a salesman.
I can't sell anything.
No, there was this random happenstance while I was a door girl, essentially like, hey, please don't bring that bag in. Can I hold it up here?
Right.
I can't leave this area. Please don't steal anything because I can't run after you.
Exactly.
But there was an instant where Steven was selling something, or like giving this band like the spiel and what they needed as far as like gear, and he goes through the whole spiel, da 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 da, and it's like, so that's what you're looking at, man. And the guys took a second, and they went, cool. Well, we know such and such in a different department, and we're going to buy everything that you just told us about from him.
Oh.
And Steven goes, cool. Thanks for wasting my time, and threw a pen.
I was kind of done with it at that job. I was actually trying to get fired, but because
so you could collect unemployment.
Well, yeah, and because nobody else wanted my position, they couldn't fire me because they didn't have anybody to replace me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I hung on there.
Kind of stuck in your own little feedback loop.
Yeah.
So you reverted back to being a full-time live engineer.
Yeah.
But there's just sometimes, what I've noticed with a lot of engineers, namely because of you and like talking to other engineers as we go to different club venues, is there's a point where you have to go, I want to hear after I'm 40.
Yes. For all you kids listening, wear earplugs, please. Yeah. Trust me, it'll actually make the live music sound better because you're not going to have the way the audio works. You've got the sound pushing the air, which creates pressure on your eardrums.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, it's all physics. And so the greater the pressure, the more damage comes to your ears. So with the earplugs, it actually reduces that, and you actually get cleaner audio out of it. So wear earplugs.
Yeah, he makes me take earplugs anytime we go see a show now. So we're like these geeks. Thank God I have long hair now, because I go like, like, you guys are ridiculous. But I can hear, I can have a conversation with someone after the show's over without going like, what?
Yeah.
What?
You don't feel like you've just gotten off an airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of, the Ministry show was by far the loudest show I've ever worked. It ended up being the console they brought in had its own decibel meter, which, if you don't know what that is, it's a measurement on how loud the sound is.
Right.
Basically, normal.
For the Gleeble Glorps.
Yeah. Basically, a normal conversation is about 60 decibels. A loud concert's going to be about 100, 110 decibels. A jet airplane is roughly about 130 to 140 decibels.
Are you writing all this down, guys?
Yeah. The Ministry show.
That's nice. I was like, yeah, shut
up. the Ministry show topped out at 150 decibels.
Good
150
Lord.
decibels.
150. It was loud.
Oh god. So, okay. Well, then, how did you suddenly? Did you just fall into ADR? Because just going from at least a decade's worth of live, how do you make that transition? It definitely doesn't happen overnight.
And what was your first take on when you saw the first show? Getting introduced kind of to anime.
My first show was Tsubasa, which was with Joel, and it was season 2, so everything was already cast, and so we didn't really have to do the audition process.
Right.
As far as coming in from live sound, I had a friend that worked at Funimation who actually talked me into trying to get in there.
You didn't want to?
I did. It took a long time, though, because originally I've applied before, and their screening process is insanely difficult.
Well, I mean, I guess it's to weed out the people, that just really just want to work there. I mean, I don't blame a lot of people for just wanting to work there. It's a really cool place, or really anywhere that, you think you can work, doing something that you enjoy watching.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it took me 3 different interviews over a course of probably about 2 or 3 years before I actually was able to actually start training.
Just get in.
Yeah, just to get in.
And even then, when you start training, you don't for sure have job security.
Yeah, exactly. Because when I started, the training was roughly about a month. Now I think they've got it nailed down to about a week or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't get it down in a week?
Yeah, if you don't get it down, then that's pretty much it. Because the main thing
that's your shot, and it's gone.
Yeah, because the main thing that they're looking for is basically how fast can you be on the software. Which is, basically Pro Tools. It's the normal setup that any studio uses. No secrets about it at all. It's how fast can you be, because it's basically we have the actor in the booth for a
Well, not only fast, but, without screwing it up.
Yeah, because if you record it at too low of a volume, the mixer's going to have a hard time bringing it up and making it sound natural without having the noise floor, which is basically coming through the speakers.
Yeah.
So yeah, the training process was about a month on that, and then I got my first show, which I trained on Shin-Chan with Peter Hawkinson and Zach Bolton.
I think you hold Peter in quite a high regard, just because he was like your Obi-Wan.
Yes. Peter is awesome, and we have a very similar taste in music. So being a fellow metalhead, it's fine.
Nice.
Yes.
So we were having a director meeting, and at one point, the engineers had to be part of the meeting, and all the engineers came in, and of course, guess who I'm sitting next to? I'm sitting next to Tatum, and all the engineers come in, and they're all wearing the same thing.
Yeah.
They're all wearing black shirt, cargo pants, and we just started laughing, and it just looked really bad because there were like 20 people laughing at another 20 people coming in. And it was like, no, it's, you don't get it, it's fine.
Yeah, and it's like I think like 3 or 4 of us have the same thick black frame glasses, and we were all just standing right next to each other.
You and Kenneth
yeah.
look very similar, especially because you both used to have really long hair, although you had mop head, you had dreadlocks.
Yes, I had dreadlocks for several years.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well,
when y'all marched into the room, did you go, oh?
Again, if you want to call, 214-431-5062, or shoot us an email at thatanimeshow@gmail.com. It'd probably be easier to call. So, and we love having nice, awkward conversations with everybody.
Yes.
So okay.
Watching the phone like a hawk.
Like a frickin' hawk.
Awkward.
Speaking of awkward, Steven.
I am very awkward.
Okay, so I posted something on our Facebook page about like what are some of your favorite anime shows, and you immediately chimed in, which is so funny. I'm like, we know, we know you, but okay. And I know this about you, but I want you to go into more detail now. As far as anime shows that you grew up watching, what's your favy?
My favorite would have to be the Robotech series.
Yeah.
Yes.
Always a good one. Classic choice.
Yes. Harmony Gold put that out.
Yeah, good
and
Lord.
That was, back in the mid-'80s. Mm-hmm. And
still have VHS.
Yeah. But yeah, Robotech would have to be that. I don't know, is Voltron considered anime?
I consider it anime.
Yeah? Okay.
I would say so, pretty much. I mean, it was animated by one of the it's one of the Japanese.
Well, I mean, if
you put the emphasis on animated.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to,
unanimated.
If you want to go that, if you want to go that route, then it'd also go back to like Mask.
Yeah,
because they're
Mask.
I mean, heck, I grew up with.
I didn't even thought about that.
There was when I was growing up, me and my little brother couldn't make it to church for whatever reason, my parents would have us watch about an hour of this show called Superbook. And it was animated by Toei Animation, the same people who did Dragon Ball Z.
Weird.
Interesting.
I don't know. My mom really didn't. My parents didn't really pay attention to it. So when I started doing stuff in the industry, she still calls it Japanimation.
Japan.
And I'm like, please say anime. It's just like the same people that don't know how to spell anime. I believe when we originally started recording here, I had to correct them a couple of times because they spelled it Anamee.
They did?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, God. I got like a little uppity. I'm like, if you just put that into Google, Google will correct you.
Yes.
Google, I'm a big Googler. But, yeah.
So Robotech was the first one for me.
That was a good one.
Yeah, basically, I never really got into anime until my brother and basically babysat me as a kid and was just like, here, watch this. I'm going to go do things. And I got in.
Brother.
Yeah, I got into it, and just for like years, just would constantly watch it because that's all I ever really knew.
Right.
And then he, being the comic book nerd that he was and still is, but the next thing that I was introduced was Guyver. And which was
Is
an
that
amazing.
the one that had a live action with like Mark Hamill?
Yeah, Mark Hamill.
I totally watched
Yes.
that like a couple of years back. And, wow.
But that cartoon was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people would get at you.
Yes.
And they did another one. They did a second one.
Did they?
That Funimation's released now. Mm-hmm. I mean, ADV initially had it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Our good friend Charlie Campbell directed that.
Oh,
Guyver, the bio-boosted armor.
Yes,
Charlie's
the man of many voices.
Yeah.
God.
He's a freaking chameleon. Like there's never a character when he comes in for me do I feel like it sounded similar to anything else.
Yeah.
But I don't know. One of my favies, yes, was Voltron growing up. But then I stopped watching for a bit because getting into a bit of me, and I was talking to my boy Ben on FB about it because they're doing the celebrity doppelganger thing all this week on Facebook. And I've been putting up joke pictures just because I don't really go like, what celebrity do I look like? So today is Dolly Dearest.
Nice.
Like all that and everything. Very attractive sound there. But he's just like, I don't know what movie that is. I'm like, Dolly Dearest, boom. I love cheese. And he was like, I love cheese too. So I just kind of got into that and stopped really watching anime for a bit. And I mean, like first, one of my favorite movies is Hellraiser. And,
yes.
Then I, what kind of went like, maybe I should get back in anime was Ghost in the Shell.
Good one.
Ghost in the Shell's a good one.
Very, very good
Or
one.
like which one, like Ghost in the Shell 50. But anytime they're on, I never feel like I'm watching the same show. It's fantastic. And then it was already out long before I finally watched it, but Akira.
Oh, yeah, good one. Also good one. Classic.
You?
Listen, the classics. Me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. Well, I distinctly remember when I was about 4 or 5 going to the local mall in my hometown. It was Richland Mall in Waco, Texas. And we were going through the Sears section, and on this TV, this big old TV that they had in there, was this cartoon. And I just distinctly remember being mesmerized by it. I'd never seen anything like it before. I stood there for a good 15, 20 minutes before my parents were finally like, okay, let's go on to the next door. Ended up being, a couple years later, realizing that it was the subtitled only release at that point from ADV of Neon Genesis Evangelion. And just kind of started seeking out a whole bunch of different... Oh, hang on, we got a call coming in.
Oh, we're going to answer it. Hi, you're on the air. This is That Anime Show. Hi.
Hello.
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 Who am I
It's
talking
me,
to?
Ben.
Really?
Yeah.
Hi there.
I see Ben Oscar actually just mentioned.
What's going on? It's Ben.
I don't know.
Oh, hey.
I'm just thinking to you guys.
And I
I
hope
was
we're
going to
not...
give a shout out to you all.
Oh.
I really enjoyed the show.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad you're not bored to tears with us yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I watched the first episode and the second episode, just fired at this whole thing.
Oh, really?
Sweet.
Yeah.
I hope you keep listening after this, and we'll eventually, hopefully, we'll get back to the live format so you guys can keep on bugging us, because I love it. And you better watch Dolly. You better watch Dolly Dearest.
Oh, yeah.
There will be homework.
I mean, yes. I mean, she's like, oh, let's play. It's time to play.
Oh yeah. Well, it's it's the devil in a doll form in Mexico. El Diablo.
El Diablo.
Here's so much. I just got to see that.
Well,
I actually have a question for Steven, actually.
Oh, really?
Oh, Steven.
Ooh, shoot.
Oh, I was looking up, Anime News Network, and I noticed he was the ADR engineer for that show. I mean, I just finished that, and I really liked it a lot. I was wondering how was it working with line barrels of iron?
Line barrels.
Awesome.
That was
starring Mr. Josh Grelle.
Yeah. Hello. That was actually a really fun show to work on. I worked on it with Caitlin Glass, who is a really fun director.
Caitlin's awesome.
Yeah, and just being that it was a mech show, especially with Josh's character, it was just all over the place. He would have really quiet lines, and then I think it's in the third episode, Joel's character, Yajima, fourth episode.
There's a big twist.
Yeah,
There's a big twist with that character.
Yeah, the twist happens, and Josh just loses it. And it's just, from a technical perspective, it's hard to balance, the soft and the loud like that. And it was actually really good at pushing my skills on trying to create, acceptable audio files so it doesn't sound off. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
How many times?
I remember that being huge when Josh is screaming so much.
Yeah.
At the big scenes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have yet to sit down and watch it. I've got it at home. I can't wait.
Yeah, and
how many times did we peak the microphone on
it was so many times. I mean, we actually had to get a new microphone because it cracked the diaphragm on that one. We had to get it repaired because Josh was so loud on it. But I mean, there were a couple of days where we couldn't even record Josh because his voice was gone. Yeah, just from screaming so much.
Because I was directing a show that hasn't come out yet. Of course, we'll let you know the second we can.
Yeah.
But Josh is in that show too, and it got to the point where he would have to call me before he would come in to let me know if he could talk that day.
Yeah.
Because of line barrels.
He was recording line barrel at the same time we were recording that show.
Yeah.
That's a good.
I really want to thank Josh. That was a really great show you had gone on. I mean, I was really good to Kenichi already.
Oh, awesome!
Made you a part of it.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Too.
Say that again.
Mm-hmm. I'm really looking forward to season 2 of Kenichi. It's been so long since the last one came out.
Me too, man. I cannot wait. I'm just glad
You're just happy you can talk about it.
I know. I'm just happy I can talk about it now. But yeah, Kenichi. Season 2 was a blast. Just about as much yelling as Koichi did.
Actually, you were doing both of those at the same time.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was doing the tail end of Line Barrel at around the time I was just starting up the second half of Kenichi. And so it was just day in and day out, 12 hours of screaming. And so it was definitely, it was tough from time to time. Glad I had weekends off and a lot of tea. Sometimes weekends off. Sometimes
I would actually bring him tea.
Yeah. That saved my life. But yeah, absolute blast. Can't wait for the second half of Line Barrel and for the second season of Kenichi to come out. It's going to be great. And thanks for watching, man. Glad you enjoy it.
Oh, I really did. Thank you.
Well, thank you for calling in, mister.
You're welcome. Thank you, Terry.
No problem.
And really thank you, Steven and Josh.
Yeah, you bet, man. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
I love that guy.
That's awesome.
He just randomly messaged me, say like a week or two ago, because, of course, he knows or he's a fan of the lovely Jamie Markey.
Nice.
And he saw that I ADR directed, or he listened to the commentary, and so I immediately friended him.
Nice.
He didn't friend me; I friended him, and we've been chatting ever since. A friendship that knew no bounds.
Across time and space.
Across time and space. Line Barrels is getting some pretty good little...
It is. I mean, oh, God, for the first week of its release...
Did you go to the theater for the Houston thing?
I didn't get a chance to, unfortunately. But we apparently, according to Rommel Salandanen, who runs ActiveAnime.com, little plug for him there, who also runs the event, he gave me a call the night of... In the middle of the showing, he texted me and said, is there anything in particular you want you know what you want to say to the crowd or a message, because there's not an empty seat in the house, and they were in the main event theater at the Alamo Draft House. That's about a 400 or 500 capacity.
Nice.
So it was packed.
That makes me so happy. I think,
It's like I can't. The first week of its release, I couldn't go to most of my usual sites, like some of my gaming sites or anything, without seeing a flash ad for it. And I'm sitting there grinning, just going, "That's me." It's like I know that show. Well, I have that already.
That's how I felt, because I have a morning routine where it's the breakfast and the coffee, and then I get on dig.com. I love Dig. And even after it's been released, because Rin was released the same day.
Yeah.
As although a lot of people got early copies.
Yeah.
Rin was released the same day, and there's still ads for Rin occasionally because Funimation's got ad space there. And someone, Tatum, informed me that it was the best-selling DVD at Best Buy last week.
Sweet.
So happy.
I got
if
my,
you are not 18 or older, please do not watch Ren without a parent or guardian, but I wouldn't recommend doing that, so just be
Daughters
18.
of Namassane.
Namassane. Yeah, no, I'm like,
Minimum.
Ren, Daughters of Namassane.
Minimum.
I watched my copy, the entirety of it, the first night that I got it. I was up till 4 in the morning. It was just
Love it.
good. It was just so good.
It really is. I normally don't get that caught up in
Especially
shows.
because it's stuff that we've worked on.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be really hard to watch it after you've worked on it so long.
Yeah, after working on a show for 6, 7, 8 months, day in and day out, seeing the same scene over and over again. It does get boring.
That's why now I'm just watching your Tsubasa stuff, because I'm like, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch it right now, just because every time he would come home, he'd be like, Tsubasa this, Tsubasa that. I'm like, I don't care. But now I'm actually watching it. I'm like, it's good.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
You know that show that came out a while ago? It's good.
I played the final villain in that show.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. We were trying to...
They just released it, complete series, I think, last week.
Yeah, both seasons. Yep.
Yeah,
Awesome.
So that's great.
Yeah.
But,
That was a fun character. No screaming.
It was actually different than the characters you normally play.
Yeah.
Because you normally play off-the-wall characters like
Whereas
that.
like Kenichi or Koichi or kind of more in my higher range, and
Yeah,
everything's up here with Kaus, was it? Yeah, Kaus.
Yeah, Kaus.
Everything was right here.
Yeah.
And
You're making love to the mic.
Nothing was ever.
Yeah.
Nothing was even more energetic than that.
Yeah. I think out of that whole series, that was my favorite villain, just because.
We've all got a favorite villain.
Well, just because of how mellow he was. Like even during fighting, it was very effortless. Just to be like, bam, you're dead.
Yeah. Who's next?
Spaghetti.
Oh no, the spaghetti thing is actually from I didn't realize I was doing it from a Dane Cook thing, but if I would be able to shoot spaghetti out of my fingers.
Yeah.
Enjoy your spaghetti. You're very rude.
Yeah.
But no, in all
okay. Rude.
Nerd question. Unlike the rest of the show,
Well, yeah, it's very serious.
this is real life. Okay.
These are the things that make the world
Things
go.
are happening here. Okay, nerd question, and I've already got my response because, of course, I came up with this question to both of you.
Okay.
I look to my right, and then I look to my left. If you could have any mutant ability, and I'm talking about anything, what would it be? Me? So I'll give you some time to think.
Go ahead.
I know it's really lame, and I believe I forget the name of the mutant, and they stopped drawing him because it was such a lame power to draw. And I totally take this from Joss Whedon. He was saying it, I think, on an interview segment of Dr. Horrible Sting Along blog, because they were talking about like what powers would you have?
Right.
Because we were kind of like, what is Captain Hammer's power? It's just to be a giant tool. Ironic. Captain Hammer. But I would want to be able to speak every language.
That would be nice.
Yeah, well, just like at parties, be like that one guy that can speak the language that you can't. You're like, how do you say da 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 in this? And so I would just be caught up the whole night going, you say blah blah blah.
Exactly.
Instead of going, well, I can speak Pig Latin, and I pretty much know when you're cussing it means Spanish. Yeah, I mean, so you guys have had time to think.
Yeah, I know what mine would be. Mine would be Dr. Manhattan's power.
Ah,
To
nice.
be naked?
Well, to be blue and no. Aside from the physical changes, which wouldn't be all that bad. The ability to pretty much just control, reconfigure, and create matter from anything or from nothing.
Well,
or to
can do that
manipulate.
right now.
Yeah, I know.
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti from your fingers.
Yes.
Steven.
It's like enjoy a new universe. You're very rude.
I think for me, I would have to be greedy and say that I would want to have the ability to create my own mutant power, whatever it would be. That way, that way, if I'd be like, okay, I'm
no.
That way I could be flying and be like,
Michael Hoff, you are not getting away with that. That's like saying, okay, now I know we're not talking about anime. Bear with me, because I'm gonna go off on a tangent. That is like saying, oh yeah, no, like I totally rubbed this lamp and this genie came out and he's like, you got 3 wishes, and first wish, bam, wish for more wishes. You're an ass for doing that.
Well, I told you I was going to be greedy.
There you go.
Think of a real power and get back to me.
All
I
honestly,
want a divorce.
Fine. I think.
Let's go, Josh. What?
I think I would have to say Magneto's power. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Wolverine's got nothing on you.
Yeah.
Just whatever. Hold you in midair. You can't
Is
do nothing.
Adamantium real? I thought we were coming up. We were trying to figure it out.
Well, no, and I could be wrong on this.
Steven's a really big science geek.
Yeah, well, no, I could be wrong on this, but I remember in the comics, adamantium not having being an alloy, so it has no magnetic effect.
It has no magnetic effect.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden they changed it to where it does. So I
Maybe
honestly
it solidifies.
Yeah, so
Let's give them an out.
Yeah,
It's solidified, therefore it's
I
magnetic.
love arguing. It's just like for me, I'm a huge, obviously, like I mentioned, horror geek, but particularly in the realm of zombies. Like I had a zombie-themed wedding.
Yeah.
I like zombies a lot, but what really gets people, especially people that have dated in the past, which you think about it now and you're like, wow, why did I date you so long? You're a giant douche. But they're like, I love that you're arguing the realistic aspects of being of zombies. And I'm like, yeah,
well,
yeah, I am. Or I was watching the Zombieland, which I really love, but I went, I love it. I mean, it's got little quirks here and there. They played with the virus aspect of it really well, and it was that they move really fast. And someone was like, well, what does that have to do with anything? And I'm like, because the body's decomposing.
Yeah.
Duh. But yeah, no, getting back to anime.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what?
see.
I never answered the question.
No, you didn't.
What my favorite anime was?
Yeah.
A long story aside, eventually came to find my absolute favorite, which I'm so excited because Funimation's releasing the next season of it very soon. Slayers. Slayers
Yes,
is my
I saw.
all-time
They had like a
favorite
trailer for it, I
anime.
think, on their YouTube page. I love putting a little thing. I also love reading fan feedback on it. Most of it's pretty positive. So most of it's usually like, why can't I watch this? I'm in Russia.
Yeah.
Because you're in Russia. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
But speaking of which, okay, let's get down to brass tacks here and talk about the releases for February 2nd. There will be there are a few things. Some things I'm not familiar with, so if I butcher the name, you can laugh at it and go, Americans or whatever. All right, so Dragon Ball Season 3 collection will be out on Tuesday. Huzzah.
Awesome.
Is that Nana or Nana?
I'd say Nana.
Nana Complete Collection Part 3. Naruto Uncut Season 2 Box Set Volume 3. Night Shift Nurses, RN's Revenge.
Night Shift Nurses.
You pronounce that one. Ogenki Cleanie.
I guess.
Adventures will be out. Piano, the melody of a young girl's heart bundle.
Sweet. Ramen Fighter Miki. Lightbox.
And Skullman Complete Collection. So pick them up. Especially ones that, I didn't butcher. There you go. So,
sitting here, I'm realizing we have a pretty large pool of experience for questions. We pretty much have almost the entirety of the production side.
a bit today.
We've got writer, director, actor, and engineer. We're just missing.
Yes, so call in and ask us questions.
Yes, 214-431-5062. Call now. I'm smiling.
You can't make that face because we're on radio.
I can make whatever face I want because I'm on radio. Has anyone ever told you you have the perfect face for radio?
What?
What? Oh, no. All right, so, Steven, to date, your first show was Tsubasa, and all the way up until, I think the last show release that you worked on that you can talk about is Line Barrels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite show that you've worked on so far? I know it's hard, but we've all got our babies that we've worked on.
I do have a babies.
Through Funimation or...
favorite anime, period.
Favorite anime to work on, period. That's a tough one.
I know. Wordsmith.
Currently, I like the one that I'm working on now. Unfortunately, I can't talk about it.
Well, I really hate that at conventions. When we went to YuleCon, well, what have you worked on? I'm like, Big Wind-Up. They're like, what's that? I'm like, oh man. Rin, they're like, what's that? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, the one that I really want to talk about, I can't.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Working on the FMA OVAs was pretty fun.
Nice.
But that was your first shot working with Mike McFarlane.
Yes.
Those two get along way too well.
Yes, he's my second husband. But yeah, worked on that with him. I worked on the Mushishi live action with him on that, which was an interesting one because it was actually really fun to work on that one.
Now, were you still working with Aaron on those?
On the
Aaron Dismuke on the FMA stuff?
On the FMA? On one of them we did. Actually, a couple of them we did. Obviously, his voice has changed.
Drastically.
Well,
Yes.
the kid's 17.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff like from the beginning of Big Wind-Up to the end of Big Wind-Up, there was a big difference.
It's like if you go back and listen to Aaron on FMA, like the beginning of FMA, or even the end of FMA, when it was just before his voice was starting to change.
Yeah.
And now listen to him like playing Izuna, or maybe it's Izuna
From
on
Line Barrel.
Line Barrel, or his other character on the show that cannot be talked about yet. It's insane.
It's Hobo Wrestling Part 5.
He can go deeper with his voice than I can.
Yeah. He working on that. Obviously the I think it was the live action OVA.
Well, I think that was kind of McFarlane's way of going like, look.
Yeah.
Here.
This is why we can't.
Continue. I mean, and he knew, and it really sucks, but I mean, especially whenever you grow into that character, and then a big part of your fan base is because they love you as that character. It's really hard for them to accept somebody. And I mean, it's public knowledge who the new Al is, right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they announced it.
Did they?
Did they?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The new Al. Don't give them any crap because they're fantastic. So we're just covering our butts here by not saying it, even though I'm pretty sure it's public knowledge.
Yeah.
Because we had to replace a couple of people, but just because of scheduling and all that, these darn actors actually being so talented that we're not the only ones that employ them. It's terrible.
Yeah, but one cool thing recording on that was actually having to record with a bowl. For the character of Al, because
I've never seen this bowl.
This bowl.
For those of you who are not FMA people, tell us about the bowl.
Basically,
the bowl.
Supposedly Al lost his body or whatever somehow. So
that really happened.
Yeah, and he's inside the suit of armor. So in order to create that perfect tone, air quotes, we have to use a bowl. That's made out of a certain material, certain dimensions, everything.
It's that specific?
Yeah, it's that specific that they had.
Do we have the bowl under lock and key?
There was actually two bowls. One of them got lost, and the other one McFarlane kept just so it wouldn't get lost because apparently they had a hard time finding this specific bowl. So we record it. We record the actor in front of the bowl and then the microphone behind the bowl to create that special ringing tone that you hear with Al. It's not reverb at all. That's the bowl.
That's awesome.
I think it would sound almost too digital if it was reverb.
Yeah.
I don't think it would sound like a 10. I mean, our mix engineers, like, it's so fun. I just did a commentary for a show. Oh, this is getting so hard not to just be like, I'm working on this, but I can't, and I've got the contract to prove it. But I watch, we do the booth review once we're done recording. Some directors just have engineers make discs, and the people watch, the directors watch them from home. Me, I like to watch them in the booth, just without an actor in there, so we can make changes immediately, and we're not wasting discs.
Yeah.
But watching the booth review and then watching the mixed, I just have a new level of respect for the mix engineers after being a part of it, because you hear it and you're like, oh, that sounds great. Or like, I become unsure of it because I know that there's going to be an effect on it. So listening to it now, just wow. So, but yeah, the bowl, well, having to record with the bowl, then how do you set, because mic placement's a big thing in our industry.
Yes, mic placement is a big thing.
It can make or break, like a read sometimes. As far as I'm concerned. Yeah,
because if you're straight up on a microphone, I guess it really depends on the feel of the scene. Because the show I'm currently working on, we're doing different.
That's a cute.
Yeah. We're doing a different. Not a new, but a different style of mic placement where the mental lines are up close and personal. They're like this, so you
That's
kind
like
of...
when Tatum's in here.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, there's no pop filter. Hi.
Yes, so...
How's it going?
You get right in their head.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of creates a separate space between the actual dialogue and the mental lines. So dialogue, it's a little bit more further back, like we are now. A little bit more natural sounding. But yeah, if it's off mic, then, it's going to sound like this. So... Yeah. Mic placement is definitely a big thing.
Or not a tape, I guess. What do the kids call it now?
An 8-track.
An 8-track.
You and your fancy kids. Record player.
But heck, there was even a time where in recording some of the other shows that I've done with you, we would do a couple of lines, we'd take a break, and we'd come back, and I would forget, and I'd put my hat on.
Yes.
Or I would have had my baseball cap on during the first initial part of recording, and then I would take it off during the break, and then we'd come back, and I'd sound completely different, and we wouldn't really know what happened.
Because the hat's encompassing the audio.
Yeah, the hat makes it sound even boothy.
Yeah.
Boothy, and get an idea of what boothy is. It's like this. My hands are on each side of my mouth, and I think you can tell that I'm moving them out, in and out, in and out. Boothy, not boothy. I'm in a booth, but can you hear it? Probably.
No.
But
something is focusing.
I love during Big Windup. I wasn't done interning yet. And Christopher Bevins, who originally started out as an engineer, which I think just makes him that much better as far as being a director.
He is a phenomenal director.
One of my favorites, although I feel slightly beaten afterward, but it's a good, no, I deserved it. I just wasn't getting the right read. But there was a part, I believe it was played by Justin Pate, who used to be an engineer up there. He's a fantastic musician, so he's now constantly going off playing for Ringo Starr and all that. And I'm not kidding, it's great. But he went in, and not only did it sound a little bit boothy, because Bevins was like, no, you're an engineer, I'm not setting the mic for you. You set your own mic. And in the middle of it, there was a scene, because a lot of Big Windup is, woo!
Yeah.
But one of the first rules you don't do, and Tatum touched on this, I think, a bit last week, is he was clapping.
Oh, my God.
Just yeah, all right. And Bevins would just let him do it. He's like, that'd be great. Why are you clapping? You know that's in the elements. And he's like, I'm not clapping. He's like, okay, let's come in for it again. He's like, woo! Oh, I am. Or a big thing, I'm wearing a hoodie, and you can't even really wear anything jingly because you'll...
Yes, no dangly earrings, no necklaces, stuff like that.
So you can't wear your hoop earrings in the booth, Josh.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, even sometimes the cell phone, you'll hear that typical cell phone and through the speakers. Some of the booths have the really sensitive microphones where it actually picks it up during the recording. So we try to get the actor to shut the phones off during recording.
Well, even sometimes I noticed that where we can't even hear it just because, I guess we've tuned it out, is sometimes the mic will even pick up the actor's headphones. Mm-hmm. So you can hear, me directing somebody as they're going through the line.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah. Because actors like to have the headphones very loud.
Some people do.
Yeah,
some have them insanely low.
Yeah, because I totally see why having it that loud would immerse themselves in that scene.
Yeah,
gives them a better performance.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
or they could just be deaf. I think I'm a little bit of both. I like to have it loud mostly because I like to be able to. There's for me there's just the very subtle difference of when I'm recording, and I can somewhat hear myself in the headphones, and then when all I hear is me. Mm-hmm. Kind of almost completely mixed in with the scene. If I can completely hear me and I don't just sound distant while the scene is going on, like all the elements are playing in the background and then I do my line, if I can hear myself incredibly loud in the headphones, it sounds like I'm more actually in the scene and I can focus on it more and I can get a better read out of it.
Yeah, and that's we got a phone call.
Hi, you're on the air.
Hi, this is Jackie.
What's up, Jackie?
Hello.
I thought that number looked familiar. I'm going to be like, I think I know who this is. What's up, lady?
Not much.
Not much. Got a question for either of these guys over here?
Well, actually, it's kind of a question for all of you.
Okay.
I just want to ask, how do you feel about Big Windup Season 2 not being licensed?
I'm actually pretty bummed. But, unfortunately, when Chris Bevins, informed me that we'd be doing a baseball show, and I went, wow, well, that should do well. I guess it's just that a lot of people forget that, baseball is pretty much one of the slowest sports that you can watch, let alone play.
Yeah.
So I think that had a lot to do with poor DVD sales. But it's on YouTube as well as Hulu. But I'm pretty bummed about it. I got really into the show toward the end, to the point where I'm actually watching baseball, which is hilarious.
Well, I know that they had trouble writing to it because apparently the rules in Japan for the baseball is different than it is here.
Well, there's hardball and then there's rubber ball, and also they have a limit to how many pitches a pitcher can have. We don't have that here in the States. So I think just a lot of the terminology didn't transfer well, where a lot of people here would be very confused. Because we didn't want to say, just so you know, we're in Japan, if you didn't remember. But so the rules are different. So I'm pretty bummed about it, to be honest with you. But I understand. So I'll just watch it all on my own and go, we could have done that. Is that a pretty good answer? Tell me now. Be like, that was horrible, Terry. Good day. Awesome. Well. How are things in the SC?
I just wanted to say, maybe you guys and call in again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, no, thank you for calling, and please remember that we're going to podcast next week, and Tatum will be back, and hopefully we'll get back to the format where you guys can call in, because I love when you guys call in.
Yeah, it's awesome. Mm-hmm. Awesome sauce.
Yay for live.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you. You have a good day.
You too. Bye.
All right.
That's awesome. I love this.
I love it too. I really do. Did you listen last week?
Yeah.
The first we got a call, and it's, hey man. Hey. Because you worked with it, it's like, this may or may not be Chris Kaysen.
Right.
That was a terrible Kaysen impression, by the way. But I just...
May or may not be Chris Kaysen.
Well, and I mentioned to him later, I'm like, you scared the crap out of Tatum.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no, really? I'm like, yes, because he was like, oh my god, I finally did it. Finally upset somebody. I'm like, finally? I'm sure you've upset someone before, but I'm upset just looking at you. But
Kaysen.
I love that Jackie called in again.
Yes.
Yay.
I told her to. I messaged her and threatened her. I'm like, look, you better call in again, or I will do nothing.
And for those who still want to call in or may have some questions, go ahead and do it. 214-431-5062.
But to get back, the favorite show that I had to work on.
Oh yeah, we asked you that question, didn't we?
Would have to be with Mike McFarlane. Was the revised Evangelion.
Nice.
That was a really good one to work on.
I think that was great because also, sometimes we tend to. What are you doing? Are you making faces at me? I have my I'm facing Steven and then Josh is behind me and I just think he's going like, but I want to show you something.
And then I eat your brains and take your knowledge.
But what was really cool about that is it was a revival, so a lot of people that you hadn't worked with, you got to work with, like Spike
Spencer.
I almost said Spike Jones.
Spike Spencer, he was fun to work with. Allison, what's her last name?
Arg. She was cool.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. She was cool.
I forget Allison's last name, but yeah, she played Misato in there. And then other people that, I've worked with before from coming up from Houston from ADV. But yeah, it was a blast to work on a full length feature like that. I think all in all it was like 2.5 hours.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then to
it was even released in theaters, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They did a small one.
Yeah. It was released in theaters, and it was cool to be able to have something on the big screen like that.
Was that your first thing that's been released in theaters?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think that that was a really big leap. There is, you as an engineer, not only do you take out all the flap spackle, like for instance, sometimes, especially if I haven't had a lot of water, like right now, I tend to be really messy, really
smacky mouth noise. You hear all this spit, and
it's one of the lovely things about having an engineer is they can make you sound beautiful, even on a day that you feel that you sounded like crud.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, they can't help you read.
I don't even know how you guys do that, man. There have been times where I sit outside on the couch before a session, and I hear you working on like the previous day's work on the previous day's lines and stuff, and just to hear like either myself or like Joel or Tia Ballard or any other
hear the
characters,
beginning of it before it's been cleaned, and then
or to just constantly have the same line or the same little segment of the line playing at least 10 or 12 times over and over and over and over again before you get it clean.
Yeah, because basically it's like a digital sponge. We soak up all the spit in the mouth.
That's really awesome.
And get all the nose honks out and everything.
Well, see, I mean, generally you guys are cleaning for DVD purposes or for maybe just television. Do you, I don't think you saw it in theaters. I don't recall, but do you think that really, that made it sound different? At all?
I'm sure it did because of it being on such a big screen, and you've got multiple speakers around you. It's going to be played louder than a normal TV.
And the flaps will look different too.
Yeah. So we also had to contend with that of being able to see the flaps on a 20-inch monitor to be like, okay, well that looks fine.
You can see flaps that aren't even there on a big screen.
Yeah, exactly. You have it on a 20-foot monitor, it's going to be insanely bigger, and you'll be like.
I think Mike said he saw it, and he was just like, no.
Yeah. It's just like you'll always see something and be like, oh yeah, could have done that a little bit better, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we freaking record with like a 20-foot screen? I think that would make. But then I think when we minimized it, it looked different.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a byproduct of working in this industry for so long. You can sit down, you can be just watching TV and see a commercial where they've dubbed like a kid or somebody, and there's his lines have been dubbed over by somebody else, like just like an older woman who who can do a kid voice, and you can tell you're just sitting there going, that was ADR.
Yeah.
They didn't even match those flaps. They didn't get anywhere near it.
I love
and
when
then somebody right next to you who has never done anything in this industry be like, what are you talking about?
Or it's not even that you realize that, like, oh, that wasn't her. It's that, I love in a movie where it's obvious that they just needed to pick up that one bit of dialogue. So it's like, very soft. You know what? Reginald, blah, blah, blah. You are really blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that was a pickup.
Yeah.
I can't tell that at all. So, but I think a lot of that is just the mix. And I think we're very fortunate to have 5 mix engineers, let alone 1. But, yeah.
But, yeah, cleaning up, I think that as an industry standard goes, most places don't clean up the mouth noise. Like, if you listen to, any other anime or cartoon or even some live action, you can hear the mouth smacks and everything. We just
stuff that's been picked up by a lav.
Yeah, or
a
shotgun mic or whatever. But we just try to strive for better quality video, so you're not distracted.
Our number one goal is
yes.
for satisfaction.
Well, it gives a better quality, so you're not distracted from hearing the mouth noise. You're more immersed in the actual show.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of the fans like is.
Well, see, but what really sucks now is watching, especially, I mean, like, I can be a bit biased now, especially when I'm watching anything animated and not just pertaining to anime itself, but watching The Simpsons, especially the early years of The Simpsons. Can't watch it for anything now. I can't because I'm just like, oh, those flaps are killing me.
Well, it even goes the same thing with the early Family Guy. I was noticing it the other day when we were watching it. Is that some of the mic placement you can definitely tell. It's like some of it's right here, and then another character in the same scene is way back here. With people that like us that are in the industry, we kind of see what's going on. We become almost jaded toward the whole thing, where it's just like,
which really sucks.
Yeah, it takes the fun out of seeing a movie or even seeing a live band. Now, when I go see a show, I see everything that goes on, and I can tell what problems the band is having, and I know how to,
You're just a hoot to have at a concert.
Yeah.
Like, hey, tell them to turn down the snare. Who are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell them to turn it down. Okay, if you want a crappy show, you can keep up the hi-hat snare all you want.
Yeah.
There you go. I think that was an actual instrument. No. I only play the bass. Do you play anything?
I played drums, trap set for a number of years, and
You're
trumpet.
an animal. Like, ah! And you're all about the keyboard.
Play
and
bass. Yes.
Yes. You used to be in a band, didn't you?
Yes. It was a very bad industrial band. Basically, as long as
What was the name of your band?
Munchausen syndrome by proxy.
Nice.
If anybody knows what that is, congrats. If not, look it up. It's a really messed up mental disorder.
The more you know.
But,
I think like Scrubs even did
Google
something.
it.
Yeah, but yeah, basically we as long as we could have our keyboards go, then we were happy with it.
Nice.
You are so charming right now.
I am.
Hoff. Or I was listening to the second episode, and Tatum kept going, Stephen Hoff, which that man doesn't sing for a lot.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Stephen.
He even did it into the first.
Stephen Hoff. Yes. All right, so you kind of wanted to give the lowdown and dirtiness of what goes into a recording session.
Yes.
So tell us a bit about that because Tatum and I and even Josh can go, on and on about our point of view on that. But tell us about, let's say, just an actor coming in for a bit part, a character that's never going to show up again. What do you do?
Whatever it is, say it's man B is generally the way they're scripted is, anybody that's not coming back, there's no name, generic name like that, man B.
Although it's funny, my first part was woman A, and I came back in 2 other episodes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, generally they don't have big roles like that. It's 1 or 2 lines. Basically, the way the recording process works, we'll have the actor come in. I'll make sure the mic is positioned right, so it's not too close, not too far. Make sure their headphones are right. The script monitor that they can see everything. Close the door to the booth and
The dooth.
Yes, and
you can't handle the dooth.
No.
I'm sorry.
In the session itself, we get we'll get the elements from Japan, which usually consists of the music and sound effects. So it'll be one track would be the music, the next track would be the sound effects. It's either going to be stereo or 5:1 mix, depending on the way they send it in.
Yeah.
And we'll have a series of beeps right before the line. So it's beep, 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 and on the 4th imaginary beep is where your line starts.
Mm-hmm.
So
I always come in either too early or too late.
Yes, but that's okay because
I have issues with the beeps.
Yes, but that's okay because we can move it around and put the words in the mouth.
Yes.
Yes, and but generally the beep
words in your mouth.
the beep method is usually what they use. They also have another method where it'll flash the screen white. It'll be like 3 flashes, and then on the fourth flash is where you begin. But you can see.
But isn't it true? I'm totally gonna, because I thought about you can make those beeps not beeps. You can make them words or anything like that.
Yes.
During the recording of Line Barrel,
yes.
You made Josh's beeps a burp.
A burp and some other
So it's like,
word.
all right, coming in for it, and so that you hear nothing, and then
say on radio.
Yes.
you hear.
Yeah.
And then the line, that was the first burp, was real.
Yeah. But yeah, it doesn't have to be beeps. It's just a a cue to be able to know when to come in. But yeah. After I think we're on our like 3rd day of 8 hours straight with that character.
Where like you guys and Caitlin would walk out like you'd just been through this traumatic thing. We're like,
Yeah, and you
Taylor even.
You get booth crazy for being in there, for being in.
That's why we try to take a break every hour.
Yeah.
Most directors will try to do that.
Yeah, being in a box that's 4x4, area, you get kind of crazy in there.
Yeah.
And so that's generally when a lot of the outtakes happen. It's just like, wow, that's okay. I'll put that there.
Is that a thing after the third? After the 3rd day of 8 hours, it was what?
Recording. Yeah.
That's when I started doing.
Yeah, you started just coming up with weird words like Ganama.
Ganama.
Oh no! And then we freaked out Caitlin because I was sitting on the couch. I had finished early for the day, and I was sitting on one of the couches, just randomly, between a couple of studios, and
I started doing my little girl voice, and he started doing his little boy voice.
Yeah.
Caitlin, I love you a lot. Caitlin, a lot.
And we freaked her
we are
out.
voice actors.
We're adults.
But now Tatum's really really big. When you're not around, we try to bug Steven and Joshua by him doing his age voice.
Yeah.
Because
I love
Joshua goes nuts. I don't blame him because when you're in the booth and he's matching age, that's you're like, wow, I can't believe that's Tatum. But then there's 6'2" Tatum, all like,
Hi, everybody.
I can't do it. But
No, I'm doing that voice for Steven.
Yeah, we actually played a trick on Joel where Tatum had a line on the show that we're currently working on, and it was just like blah 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 blah. Explaining things, and then in the middle of it, he just automatically switched to age voice.
Yeah.
And then back into it. And I didn't even tell Joel, and Joel was recording, and I came into it, and he just kind of looked out the window. He was like, that was weird. he couldn't do the take.
Well, see, because for the most part, Tatum likes to argue that a lot of his characters look very similar to him. Tall, lanky guy, dark hair. He's not lanky. He's very buff in the arms, which I don't mind. He's pretty. You're all pretty. But he's like, they're usually tall, dark hair, and they usually wear glasses. I mean, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, you can throw that away now, because age, I know a lot of people, when they first announced the cast of Heroic Age, you're like, really? What are you guys? And then they heard it, they're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a really good job on that.
I think he surprised himself on that show.
He did.
Yeah. But yeah, so getting back to the process.
Shiny.
Yeah, getting back to that. It'd be the 3 beeps, and then imaginary 4th beep. You come in for the line, say it. If it fits, great, move on. If not, might be able to stretch it or shrink it. To put it in the mouth, basically,
and make it pretty.
Yeah,
I was like, I kind of had a problem. It was hard for me.
What do you mean?
Getting used to the beeps after 3-4 years of using the chase method.
Yeah, you guys
at
What do you
ADVD.
The chase method.
Because I'm not used to that.
Yeah, the chase method of recording is basically where you don't have any sort of cue. You simply watch the scene beforehand, or sometimes you don't even watch the scene at all.
Just follow the Japanese.
You just go. It's like you'll have the Japanese audio playing behind you, or you can turn it off, and you just kind of You watch it first, memorize the timing of when your character starts, when it ends, and just go with it.
Oh,
And I did that.
my.
And after
have a lot
4
more.
years of doing it, we had it down. I had it down to a science. Most of the people at ADV, whenever we're using the chase method, we had it down to a science. Lucy Christian could.
Lucy is
Lucy
amazing.
Lucy could come in, do the first maybe an episode or two of like if she had a principal character, and once she has the timing down of the character. She doesn't even have to preview half the time. She'll just go, and it'll fit perfectly.
Because after she's got the timing down of what that actor was bringing to it, she's got hers down.
Pretty much, or just however the cadence of the dub script was, the cadence of the script, and just memorize the timing of how that character talks, and it does become kind of a science once you kind of get it down. So to go from that to go from that to from the chase method where it's very very loose and it's very kind of a fluid deal where you're just kind of going with it to suddenly having something going, okay, act.
Yeah.
It can be very
well, and also, I mean, like I was saying about the audition process is that what really sucks. I mean, you guys have a pretty engineers. I'm pointing at Steven, like you guys know that. What you guys forget sometimes, or even directors, especially me, is that this is the first time these actors are seeing these lines. They preview it in the Japanese. If they want to preview it again, hopefully they'll ask. I don't mind. I'm like, no, I'm going to need to see that again. And even then, I haven't fully looked at the script in comparison, especially when it's a new character. By the end of the last show that I was in, I'm like, oh, I have her timing down, and she's done now. A big thing is that they're doing this cold.
Yeah, and that's why we'll watch the Japanese to see what they did and get the feel for the scene down to be able to match it, because it's like if the Japanese do it really angry and everything and
it's animated as such,
then you kind of have to know how far you're going to push it, because it's like you've got angry, then you've got angry, and it you may go over the top, and it just doesn't work. But we'll watch the Japanese and then preview it, make sure everything fits. The director will generally read along on our side with it to make sure that the line fits.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, and if it doesn't,
I actually try to do that during the Japanese as much as possible. But a big thing is like, okay, let me try. I want you to do this, and really, usually the first take, especially when it's a new script or it's been written by somebody that I'm not completely familiar with, is I let them do a take, essentially just so they can get the first one out of their system, and still record it and let them hear like what they need to improve on, and also so they see how the timing works.
I tell you what, you are also one of the, and this is, thank God, you are one of the quickest as when it comes to rewriting a line that doesn't fit, just because the script was off. You're one of the quickest out there to be just like, okay, I know what'll fit. Bam. Okay,
really?
Now go. You're definitely one of the quickest.
I wasn't at first, but thank you. That means a lot. But
this is the only other person who I've ever worked with, and was one of my favorite directors ever, and actually two. Bevins is fast at it too, and Chris Ayers is a master at it. If something doesn't fit, he can just go.
I really want to watch Chris direct. I think that'd be fun. I like watching his little. I just like watching him at cons, especially when he's doing the cosplay stuff. I'm just like, I could just watch this all day. Yeah. He's a great director. He's a great little teacher.
Well, it's also a real skill to be able to do that, because I mean you can add flap spackle to be like, okay, word filler, filler. I'm going to add that, stuff like that.
Or for me, it's usually the name. Like,
but
look, and then I'm like, it's 2 flaps off. Look, Steven.
but you can only add so much before it actually changes the meaning of the intent, and so it's like so you could rewrite all day long and make it fit, but to actually make it the same intent is really what takes.
And from a director's standpoint, it's much easier to take away words from a script when it doesn't fit than it is to add them.
Yeah, so I'd much rather a script be overwritten than, not necessarily underwritten. I don't think any writer goes like, deal with it in the booth. Got my money. It's that, sometimes when you're writing it, you just see the flaps differently, or you see that read being taken differently. And a good chunk of the time, what I really liked about the last show is the head writer was one of the characters that was always in. So I was like, this doesn't work. So what were you saying? What were you thinking here? So when they're in, I'll talk about other characters' lines that I'm unsure about. But, well, I mean, just talking about the script alone, I mean, I know we're talking about the recording process, but a big part of it is writing, and I know that a big thing to people is, a big argument out there is that we change a lot of the meaning. You know, like Joel and I were talking about it, and, along with Tatum, about the big flack that we got for Sergeant Frog, was that we rewrote a lot of the lines and all that. It's that a lot of people, I mean, you know, yes, a part of the whole industry is you gotta kind of take the hit and know that you're going to get negativity regardless of what you're doing in any aspect of your life. You're always going to have the naysayers, and I do see their argument here, but we have to make this work for an American audience as well.
Yeah, because it's like if Sergeant Frog, and if you want to get down to, you know, technically what it is, by comparison, it's the Japanese Simpsons. Because there are times where, you know, aside from the visual gags that they pull, which, you know, anybody will be able to laugh at and, you know, take some humor out of most of the visual gags, when it comes to the actual jokes that they're making verbally about, you know, politics at that time, or a certain person, or making fun of, there could be a gag where they're making fun of a commercial or something. 90% of those jokes and those gags are not going to translate over
like
properly
they will literally
to
translate.
Won't really make sense to an English speaking audience.
It's like the culture doesn't match up, because they have certain things that go on over there that's completely hilarious.
So then I know, like, the same thing happened with Shin Chan, which I think is hilarious.
It is hilarious.
Zach Bolton did an amazing job. I'm just now watching that. Believe it or not, but a big thing with that, they're like, you rewrote everything. I'm like, well, the American audience gets it, and some people view that as dumbing it down. And I feel, I mean, you can watch both. You can.
Yeah, you can. That's the magic of DVDs.
And respect both as two different entities, really. Yeah.
And I mean, what it really comes down to at that point is, well, you can either do a direct translation and have the original jokes in there that 90% of American audiences are not going to get, or you can do the true job of a caretaker of the show and be, you know, and stick to the original intent, and their original intent is to make you laugh.
Yeah.
So go with the joke that more people are going to get, and you're doing the show a service by doing so. You're sticking more true to the intent and honoring it in a way.
Now, I know you said, like, the first show you really worked on was Tsubasa, but that wasn't the show that you trained on.
No, the show that I trained on was Shin Chan. I also got thrown in for Negama and Save Me Lollipop. Those two shows.
That's how I met Chris Kaysen. Was he called me in randomly, which I was just very excited about, because he was the first director that wasn't Joel calling me in. I'm like, I don't know this guy. That's crazy. But he was. It was for Save Me Lollipop, and at one point he had someone in previously, and he was leaning against a wall doing push-ups.
Wall push-ups.
And I'm like, he's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, does that feel good? He's like, I feel the burn. And but now, like, you know, Save Me Lollipop, he's just like, oh yeah, that's how we met, isn't it?
You know, when I first met Kaysen,
was it on Kaze?
Yeah, it was Kaze no Stigma. It was the very first show I really worked for him on. And
you were Ren.
Yeah, for Ren Kanagi. Little Rene. First day of walking in, before we even started recording, for the first, I don't even know how we got on the topic. I think he was talking to Justin or a friend of his on the phone, and somehow we got on the topic of French fries from different establishments.
I was there.
That's right. Yeah, you were there.
I was there. That was the first time we met.
That was.
We spent like an hour of the 4 hours
talking
about fast food.
It's like, well, you know, I think that, you know, McDonald's, if you catch them at the right time, and then the French fries are great. But if you go to, like,
Copus mayonnaise in February.
Pretty much. Grey Poupon. We literally did talk for like half an hour about French fries. It was great. And then it was like,
the
okay,
conversations
let's
we have up there.
I know.
Oh,
especially
man.
after we've gotten booth crazy for a while, and I started messing with you.
Well, what I really hate is when I realized, when I realize that I'm being really... when I realize we need to take a break is when my engineer will be like, that didn't fit. I'm like, well, stretch it!
Make it
fit! And it just doesn't fit. If I stretch it anymore, it's going to sound terrible. And I'm like, I hate you so much. How is it my fault that it didn't fit? I'm like, we need to take a break before I kill you. He's like, please! Let's do that. But, so who actually, like, director-wise, who was your first director?
My first director
that you worked with on a show really was Joel, but who did you work with? I don't recall.
I worked with, I trained with Peter and Zach, and then after that...
Zach used to be an engineer, too.
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah, and after that,
so did Grelle.
I actually worked with Chris Kaysen on Lollipop and with Colleen Klinkenbeard on Negama. And, that was the show that Joel also trained on. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that would be the answer. To your question.
Oh, man.
But,
well, I just think it's funny now that, we've touched on it a couple of times, the past couple of shows. There were two before this, so literally a couple of times. Is that I noticed that lately I've been paired up with the same engineer. And do you think it's good to kind of stick with that the same director each time, or would you like to just continue working with a different director? Do you feel that it helps you in any way?
I feel that it does help me to move around with different directors to work at different, to basically work at different speeds. Working with Mike, I had to be stupid fast to keep up with him because, we'd get the take and he'd move on to the next line while I'm still trying to place everything. Mm-hmm. And eventually it got to the point where I was able to just sit there and wait for him to get to the next line. Where before it would be like, sorry, waiting on the engineer.
What do you get?
Yeah, he would apologize to the actor to be like, waiting on the engineer. Okay, good, we're good. Let's go. And, and...
Nothing malicious about it.
No.
He's
just
quick.
Yeah, very cut and dry.
He's been doing this a lot longer than, any of us have, that's for sure.
Yeah. And, then going to, Colleen, it was similar as far as being fast. She has a different method of directing than everybody. I mean, everybody's different. And moving around like that, it does refine your skills. But I do enjoy staying with the same director because you develop a rapport where you don't even really have to talk. You just do the take and you know what needs to be done, and that's it. I mean, it gets to the point where that the director doesn't say, okay, well, we're going to move this over, go ahead and delete that, we're getting another one. I just listen to Joel talk to the actor, and I know what's going on.
I do a lot of sign language behind the screen. I mean, I never want to make the actor feel that I hate them for doing a take that I don't particularly agree with. And I understand that a big part of it is that, I spent at least a month before starting this contract of, whatever show, so I know the ins and outs of every episode and all that. So they're at a very big disadvantage, compared to me. And I try to get the engineer to at least watch a couple of episodes with me.
And starting out on a new show, I'll generally watch the show to get an idea of how I'm going to record it, mm-hmm. and then I'll sit down.
So each one is a different little setup.
Yeah. Each one would definitely be a different setup, like the with line barrels. We had a certain mic placement all across the board. There were, mental lines had a reverb on it. So it was just a general setup. Closer miking, so it's more more present. Whereas the show we're currently working on, it's more based in reality. So I have it further back, the microphone further back, so it's more natural sounding, like you're in a normal room, mm-hmm. and mental lines are up close and personal. Mm-hmm. So and I'll watch the show and then sit down with the director and the producer and kind of get a feel what they're looking for to make out to have the show come out to be like. And then I'll also sit down with the mix engineer and be like, okay, so talk to Colleen and Joel about this. they're cool with doing this. Are you cool with me doing it this way? Just to let you know, this is how it's going to be done.
Or sometimes wouldn't because I think generally, do you know who's going to be mixing the show beforehand?
No, generally no.
Okay, so you can't just be kind of ask them what their idea is?
Yeah. Generally, if I do know who's going to be mixing it, then I'll go straight to the mixer and be like, hey, this is how we're going to be doing it. What are you looking for out of the audio files? Like, some mixers like more mouth noise. Like I know Andrew Tips likes to have the mouth noise, especially on up close shots, because if you were in real life, you would hear that.
Yeah.
Whereas like if they're far away, you see somebody far away from a building or whatever, you're not going to hear the mouth noise.
Or, hey, you're in a building.
Yeah, or like you're on a boat and somebody's talking just like this.
Or there's all these explosions going off. They're like, my God, we better split up and look for survivors.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll generally talk with the mix engineer to see how they're going to mix it, because there's also different mixing styles. There's cinema mixing style where the dialogue is a little bit lower than the sound effects, kind of like on Transformers 2. Where the dialogue was very low and all the sound effects were grand and everything.
Oh man, but it kept making us turn it up and turn it down. It's so freaking annoying.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes it sound.
That was the only problem with that movie.
So it makes it sound so much bigger, and then you have just a regular TV mix where everything's very nice and even. So you have to talk to the mix engineer to figure out what you're going with.
Now, I'm pretty sure everybody knows here, but we don't just do anime, we do live action as well. Do you think there's a difference in mic placement as far as live action? Because we're not matching flaps there.
We got a phone call.
Yeah,
we have a phone call. So, get back to that. Hi, you're on the air.
Hello. What is Matt buying on the air? I'd like to order a large pepperoni pizza. No, just kidding.
Who am I talking to?
First, hello. William G.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Hello.
We gave you a shout out earlier. Yeah. Doing good.
Well, I want to say first, love the audio. Whoever's doing the studio there, it's coming out pretty nice.
Awesome.
And if I can, let me give a shout out to the peeps. Ben's on, Jackie C, Terri Doty, Emily Lowe, Jackie Cox, and Ocean Rabbits. When they get Todd on, I know you'll hear me say hi.
We're definitely keeping that.
I know like 90% of the people you just listed.
Me too. I'm like, those are like we're part of a gang.
I know. It's like I saw all y'all on Facebook.
Yes. Do we have a question or anything?
I do have a question.
All right.
Now, this is going to test you guys too.
Okay.
Who are some of the more the better people to work with in the studio, the voices? And it's optional to you if you want to tell us about who the more difficult ones were. I mean, the pros, like Krusty the Clown, that comes in and says, ba-ba-da-da-da-da.
They haven't even set the tape yet. Yeah. Well, okay, I'll say, for me, the most difficult person to record is myself.
Yeah.
I'm really my own, because when a director records themselves as an actor, they rely solely on the opinion of the engineer, and that drives the engineer bonkers.
Yes, I would have to agree as far as the most difficult person would be the director I'm working with, because it's like I can have some kind of feedback onto levels and everything if the take is good or not, but I don't really have a way of directing. I'm not a director. I don't know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And sometimes the director has a hard time explaining to me what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Also, I'd say also myself. Like, I guess for one of the major reasons would be if I'm not used to a certain type of role.
Yeah.
Like if I constantly do comedy or very over the top characters, and then suddenly I'm put in a position where I have to do a very dark, somewhat mellow or downplayed or very serious character with a lot of heartbreak, then there are times where we'll finish the line and I'll be like, that was stupid, gonna do it again.
No, that was great, but yes, you can get another take. And some of the best people, I mean, geez, he's usually my co-host, J. Michael Tatum, one of the easiest guys to work with.
Absolutely.
He picks up direction very well, but not only that, he likes to give insight to where you might not have thought about it, because he's not as invested in the character, so he looks at it from a different angle. Another great one, Colleen Klinkenbeard. She's really good at helping me whenever I'm stumped on a rewrite. So she's just a big, like, awesomeness all around, being a producer and a director and occasionally writer, as well as a lead in a lot of the stuff that I've worked with her on. Josh Grelle, obviously. And
that guy,
I could go on and on. Jeremy Lee's a great one, too.
Jeremy's awesome.
But Greg Ayres, Chris Ayres. I could go on. Chris Burnett, Brina Palencia.
Yeah, exactly. As far as people that are very easy to work with, as opposed to not so much. I can't really think of anybody who is not easy to work with.
Yeah, well, you kind of gotta be easy to work with. Otherwise, it's kind of hard for us to cast you. If the engineer and the director don't feel comfortable giving you a direction, it's really hard for us to continue to call you in, because it's all about getting along. It's a very fluid, very almost family-oriented process, because a lot of us hang out with each other off, on our off days, and a big part of that is because we have to get along.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it seems like your own worst critics.
That's generally the way it goes.
Oh, yeah.
And,
from an engineering point,
I just wanted to listen. I have granddaughters that love anime, and
awesome.
I had to give a special shout out for Sergeant Frog. The writing in that is tremendous.
Sweet.
When I have to watch that with them, I just enjoy the heck out of it.
Oh, that's great.
Well, I hope you like the plug there.
I do. I love it. Well, thank you for calling.
Also, one last shout out. Chris Sabat, get a fan page.
We'll make him listen to this, and if he didn't listen to it today, we'll just,
if you guys can't rattle his cage, nobody can.
That's true. He's actually terrified of me, so we'll try that.
Thanks so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for calling.
See you guys on Facebook.
Yes.
You too, man. Take care.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And what were you going to say? Like engineering-wise, is there? I mean, not to say that you guys don't have a say in it, but I would wonder, like, do you have a favorite or a least favorite? I think you went ahead and said least favorite with directors. Because acting as a director and then as an actor is really hard. Yeah,
the people I enjoy working with the most are generally the fast ones that can just kind of run through everything really quick. That are pretty easy to clean up. You've got like Todd Habercorn and Lucy Christian and Josh and Tatum and Joel. It's pretty quick. Because it's like, with Todd, he'll go through like 5 or 6 cues at a time. No
matter how many cues I actually highlight, he'll still do at least 4 more.
Yeah. As long as he can read them on the page, he'll still do them. But he'll go through however many cues, and he'll know which ones he messed up on, and then
he'll go ahead and fix them. He'll like assume that you still want to run wild.
Yes.
Sorry.
And
he did that to me a lot on Big Wind Up.
Yeah.
That being my first show, I'm like, he knows.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's awesome to work with, and same thing with Lucy. She's a blast to work with because she'll rattle through everything and then just.
It's really hard to bomb her too.
Yeah, it is. I enjoy the outtakes and the bombs of. Throwing a line in there with a friend of yours that hasn't recorded yet, and then them hearing it right before they record and trying to see if they're either going to laugh or just rattle through the line. Mm-hmm. Most of the time they don't rattle through it.
Most of the time they don't. Well, what's really funny is I've heard I've called you in as an actor, and
I'm sorry.
You are really insecure in the booth. Well, not only that.
I'm not an actor. I don't know how to act.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Well, generally,
You're
like
Steven.
Joel was saying, he goes, you really want to make Steven uncomfortable, touch his equipment, touch his setup.
Well, yeah. If you have the angry, dry, monotone guy, then yeah, I can totally do that.
Also known as Ninja F.
Don't touch the microphone.
Oh, yeah, no, never touch the microphone, never touch the pop. Well, like, I went in for a Wallace session for Bevins, and, I had interned with him for 4 months, so I go into the booth to record as an actor, which that was my first time recording with him, and I'm like, I consider you a friend, but right now you scared the crap out of me. And he expected me to set my own mic. And I went, no. And he wouldn't even let the engineer go in and do it. He he wanted to make sure that he set it up. And he's like, really? Like, you're married to Steven. Are you kidding me? And I'm like, no, he doesn't let me touch the equipment at home. Are you kidding?
Well, yeah, and even other engineers that come in to record, I won't let them touch the mic because they have their own way of miking in their booth. When it's in my studio, it sounds differently. It sounds different than their booth. So it's going to be a different mic placement. So what might work in their booth doesn't work in mine, and vice versa.
I love that you said vice versa. I usually get vice versa. Bottled water, how I love you so. Sorry. But
yeah. Another movie or another show that I would think that was not anime that I recently worked on, as far as being one of my favorite ones to work on, was Samurai Princess.
I was in Samurai Princess.
Yes.
Samurai Princess, it came out in November. And Tatum's actually like one of the main bad guys. Mm-hmm. And I am a monster. I'll say that. This monster's got very unique abilities.
Yes. But
Brina Palencia is leading that.
But going back to what you asked before, as far as different mic placement for live, live action, because there's no matching flaps or anything. It would be virtually impossible to try to match those. It is.
It's not flaps; it's mouth.
Yeah, and as long as you can make it fit top to bottom, you're fine. As long as it's not like I'm speaking my line.
It's not what people kind of like joke about.
Yeah.
Like Wayne's World to the hello.
Yeah, the typical old dubs like that. Yeah, we try to give it a little bit better quality, but as far as mic placement, it's generally the same. Kind of more of a, I guess, movie placement where it's more natural sounding, so it's a little bit further away instead of being in the cartoons and hey, I'm right here.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Now, do you guys? Okay, I was talking to Eric Vale about this, and we can't touch on it too much, but I really want to bring it up because you guys have both said it. Eric Vale was at a convention like forever ago, and he said something about him doing cartoons. Mm-hmm. Now, would you consider anime cartoon or a class all its own? I
consider it a cartoon, and just like I consider action figures.
Some people get super pissed.
Well, yeah, I consider action figures toys. Same thing.
What do you think?
I don't really care either way. It's just, I guess when I was really first getting into it, I would identify it as like, no, this is anime. This is not cartoons. Cartoons are for kids. But all in all, it's the same thing because the word itself derives from animation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
It's something that's drawn.
It's the same thing. I mean, if you want to put them in their own class where cartoons are, more for children, or your Saturday morning specials on like the Disney Channel or something like that, and then anime is, Godanner or Ren or anything, or Line Barrel or anything that you want to.
Astro Boy.
Astro Boy. Yeah.
The old.
Not the new one.
Specify that the Nicolas Cage-less one.
Yeah.
Well. It's getting around that time.
It is.
Where, okay, I need to remind you guys, this is our last show from Fishbowl Radio Network. There should be a replay around 11 tonight. That is January 30th. So if you're listening to this any other time, more than likely won't be on another time. Like, if you're listening to it tonight, I think that'll be the last chance. Go to the website, thatanimeshow.isgreat.org. Also, we have a fan page on Facebook. You can find also a fan page for Tatum himself, or just find me regularly. Just search my name. And these guys as well.
Yes.
Josh Greeley, Stephen Hoff, vice versa.
And I will try to get the this broadcast up on the website as soon as I can.
Yeah, now we're also working on getting this approved by iTunes, but believe it or not, it's pretty difficult when you think about it. But on top of that, we're also creating a chat room, so you guys will be able to work on that, because apparently, you guys don't talk enough with us. I don't think so, anyway. I'm very needy. I'm a very needy anime person.
Love me.
But I just want to say to everybody listening out there, I really appreciate it. I hope you guys continue to listen. I really hate that Tatum wasn't here for our last show with Fishbowl, but he's in Ohio.
I wish he would have called in. That would have been nice.
Well,
he's probably on a panel.
Yes.
He's probably being mobbed by fangirls as we speak. Joshua's running for his life.
Love me, Michael.
Catch me, Michael. Catch me.